My mom told me, "You'll understand when you have your own kids." So I got a dog, moved out, and removed her access to my calendar, my location, and my Amazon Prime. That's when the apology emails started. My mom used to track my Amazon packages like they were signs from God, and not in a cute, "Oh, I'm just excited for you" way. More like, "Why are you ordering vitamins at 3 a.m.? Are you depressed again? Who is that dog shampoo for? Is it a metaphor?" She meant it. Every Prime order was a warning shot across the bow of her reality. The reality where I was still her little girl, still tethered to her expectations, still someone she could mold with guilt and shared passwords. I'm 26 now. I moved out last year, but until recently, my mom, Patricia, 57, still had access to damn near everything. My calendar, my location, my Amazon account, my grocery rewards logins, for God's sake. She acted like access was a right, not a favor, and I let it happen for too long. I'm an only child. My dad left when I was 9, and it's been me and Patricia since then. Her whole identity was single motherhood and sacrifice. "I gave up everything for you," was her battle cry. Whether I asked for Cheerios or a career, she'd remind me, "You'll understand when you have your own kids." That phrase, it's like an incantation. She used it to end arguments, justify snooping, dismiss boundaries. I remember once, sophomore year of college, I locked my door while FaceTiming a friend. She stood outside my room with a tray of toast and screamed, "You don't hide from your mother unless you're doing something shameful." Then she forced her way in and asked if my friend was a boy or a bad influence. It wasn't just privacy. It was control. Total. All-seeing, loving, suffocating control. When I got my first real job last year, marketing coordinator at a nonprofit, Patricia insisted on syncing her Google Calendar with mine so she could help with scheduling. Help. She was RSVPing to my team's virtual happy hours before I even opened the invites. Once, she showed up to the building because I marked therapy on a Wednesday afternoon, and she thought I was in trouble. She physically came to my office. "Mom, what are you doing here? You didn't respond to my text. I thought you were spiraling again." I wasn't spiraling. I was trying to unspiral, but that didn't matter to her. Healing that didn't involve her wasn't real healing. She hated the dog, too. His name's Booker, 3 years old, a mutt I adopted with my first bonus. I'd wanted a dog since I was a kid, but she always said no. Allergies, carpet, responsibilities. So when I showed her Booker on FaceTime, I was giddy. She said deadpan, "Is this your way of saying you're not giving me grandchildren?" And that's when I realized none of this would ever stop unless I made it stop. Not gently, not politely, not with explanations and boundary talks. I'd tried all that. What I needed was a system reset. So I did what she never thought I'd do. I moved. Secretly. I didn't just get a new apartment, I changed my number. I removed her from my Google Calendar, revoked access to my Amazon account, turned off location sharing, and updated my digital footprint with military precision. No breadcrumbs, no soft trails. That was 2 months ago. Since then, I've gotten 14 emails titled some version of "Please respond, I'm so hurt," and my personal favorite, "This is not like you." The woman who used to shame me for not shaving my legs now writes paragraphs about how cold I've become. But here's the thing. The silence is beautiful. Quiet mornings with Booker, cooking for myself without commentary. No texts about vitamins, no emails about grandkids, just me. Finally, just me. And the first real apology? It came the day I canceled the shared Amazon Prime. She wrote, "You've made your point. Can we please talk? Can we? Maybe. But first, she has to learn how to ask. Not spy, not demand, ask." The first email came at 6:17 a.m. Like she couldn't even wait until the sun was fully up to start the emotional onslaught. Subject line, "I deserve a conversation." It started like most of her guilt bombs. Warm, nostalgic, weaponized. "When you were 5, you crawled into my bed during a thunderstorm and told me you'd never leave me. I held you all night." I remember thinking, this is it. This is love. You don't just throw that away. I sat on my floor reading it, sipping coffee while Booker chewed a sock in the corner. And I remember thinking, she really believes this is the same thing. Me being 5 and scared of thunder, and me being 26 and setting boundaries. In her mind, they're both abandonment. But that's the thing with Patricia. She doesn't differentiate between access and connection. If she can't see your calendar, she assumes you hate her. By the end of that first email, she was crying. Digitally, of course. "I'm sorry if I made you feel like I was controlling. I only wanted to protect you. You'll understand when you have your own kids." There it was again. That phrase. Like a wall she could throw up anytime she didn't want to admit she'd gone too far. But this time, I didn't engage. I didn't write back. I didn't call. I didn't even unblock her. That's when the escalation started. The second email came 2 days later. It was less poetic and more spreadsheet. "You haven't responded. So I just want to remind you of everything I've done for you." She attached a list, No, literally. She made a PDF titled Support Through the Years. It had bullet points, subheadings, expense estimates. 2003, braces, $4,800. 2012, SAT tutor, $2,000. 2016, rent help senior year, $1,200. Ongoing, emotional labor, incalculable. She ended it with, I don't ask for much, just to be included, respected, loved. Loved, sure. Respected? I could give her that. But included? Included meant watched. Included meant controlled. Included meant she knew when I got my period and whether I was ordering condoms or chamomile tea from Prime. Included wasn't safe anymore. A week later, I found out she had messaged 3 of my friends on Facebook. One of them, Cam, my ex, who Patricia never liked, sent me a screenshot. Hey, sorry to reach out like this, but I'm worried. She's been distant. Has she said anything to you? I know you two were close. Please let me know she's okay. It was a soft panic, like she was trying on victimhood for the first time. And I gotta say, she wore it well. Cam, to his credit, replied with a thumbs-up emoji and nothing else. I laughed so hard I cried. But the crying didn't stop after that, because she started texting my boss. Yes, my actual boss. Somehow, through LinkedIn or pure internet wizardry, she found my supervisor's name and sent a message saying, Hi, I'm her mother. I know this is unorthodox, but I'm deeply concerned about her mental health. She's cut off contact with her entire family. I just hope work is aware of any emotional issues that might impact her performance. Let that sink in. She tried to frame my boundaries as instability. I didn't find out until my boss, Maggie, who thankfully has the emotional IQ of a monk, called me into her office. She gently pushed her laptop toward me and said, Do you want to talk about this? I read the message. Then I laughed. Then I shook. Then I cried. Then I said, I'm fine. But my mom is not. Maggie nodded and said, Take the afternoon, and if she contacts you again through work, we'll handle it legally. That was the moment it hit me. This wasn't just her being dramatic. This was harassment. This was scorched earth, and I was done playing defense. You want escalation? I had escalation. After the boss stunt, I went nuclear. I changed every password I had. I mean everything. Gmail, Netflix, Uber Eats, Venmo, stuff I hadn't even touched in years. I went through my entire digital life and scrubbed it like I was preparing for witness protection. I deactivated my old Amazon account, the one she had access to for prime convenience, and made a new one under a burner email. Got a P.O. box, just in case she tried sending guilt gifts. Changed my location sharing settings on every app. And then, the real purge, I texted the family group thread. Hi, just letting everyone know I won't be available for a while. Please don't reach out on my work email or contact my boss. I'm safe. I'm happy, but I need space. Love you. Read receipts across the board. No one replied, not even Patricia, which scared me more than if she had, because silence for her was never passive. It was plotting. 2 days later, I woke up to find that someone had requested access to my Google Photos archive. An old album titled Family Trip 2011 was blinking with an alert. I clicked it, denied the request, and immediately got a notification that someone had logged into my iCloud from an unrecognized device. It was her. I had forgotten about the backup iPad I left at her house last Thanksgiving, the one I barely used, the one still signed into my accounts. She'd gone into full recon mode. She wasn't just looking for my new address. She was going through my photos, my notes, my calendar entries. I lost it. I physically shook while tearing through my bag, looking for that damn iPad receipt so I could report it stolen. Booker barked because I was moving too fast, slamming drawers, cursing under my breath. I called Apple support. They walked me through revoking access and wiping the device remotely. And when I hung up, I finally did something I should have done years ago. I blocked her number, every email, every profile, every contact method. I turned her into a ghost. I thought I'd feel guilty. I thought I'd cry. But the silence afterward felt like fresh air after a house fire. Smoke-free, safe, still, until 3 nights later. That's when the doorbell rang. It was 9:43 p.m. I was on the couch, half asleep with Booker in my lap, when it buzzed again. I checked the Ring camera. Patricia, holding a Pyrex dish, smiling. I didn't answer. She rang the bell again, then knocked, then said, in her sing-song voice, I brought your favorite, the casserole. Come on, honey, don't be like this. I muted the volume. She sat on my welcome mat for 12 minutes. 12. Eventually, she got up, placed the dish down gently, and walked off. I opened the door only after she drove away. The casserole was cold, wrapped in foil, with a post-it on top that read, Let's not do this anymore. I miss my daughter. I left it there. Booker sniffed it and whined. The next morning, it was gone. I don't know if she came back or if a neighbor took it, but something about that empty mat made my chest tighten. Not because I missed her, but because I finally understood the game. Every gesture was a test. Every kindness was currency. She wanted me to feel like I owed her for casserole, for birth, for love, but I didn't owe her anymore. And that's when I made a decision. No more hiding. If she wanted escalation, I'd give her escalation, but not with yelling. With boundaries so sharp they'd cut through the guilt like glass. And the first slice? Thanksgiving. I didn't respond to the casserole. I didn't call, didn't text, didn't send a thank you emoji. So she upped the ante. November rolled in with the quiet force of a storm building offshore. You feel it before you see it. The pressure dropping, the air changing. Patricia wasn't done, not even close. 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, I got the first wave of texts. Still hoping you'll join us this year. Grandma's asking about you. She's been sick lately. Not that you'd know. 2 days later, I'll save your seat just in case. I'm making the stuffing the way you like it. And then, if you don't come, don't bother calling on Christmas. Classic Patricia. Guilt-flavored manipulation served hot with a side of martyrdom. I didn't reply. So she called my aunt, my cousin, even my old piano teacher. Everyone I hadn't spoken to in years started popping up in my inbox like emotional landmines. Hey, your mom's really worried. Is everything okay? You're scaring her. I wasn't scaring her. I was starving her. Of control. Of information. And for a woman like Patricia, that's worse than death. The night before Thanksgiving, she left a voicemail. Her voice was soft, cracked. I just wanted to say, even if you hate me, I'll always love you. No one will ever love you like your mother. That was the final straw. Because hate? Number, I didn't hate her. I hated what she needed me to be. Dependent, compliant, readable. I hated that she equated love with access. And I knew what she was doing. She wasn't calling to connect. She was calling so she could tell the family she tried. She was staging a one-woman play titled Estranged Daughter Ruins Holidays. So I made my own plans. I booked a cabin in the mountains. Just me, Booker, a stack of books, and an old iPod full of sad indie music and petty revenge fantasies. No signal, no pressure, no chance of surprise guests. But before I left town, I did one last thing. I sent a package to her house. Inside, a single sheet of paper. This Thanksgiving, I'm grateful for distance. Please stop contacting my employer, my friends, and anyone else who didn't give birth to me. If you continue, I will file for a protective order. I am not bluffing. You are not entitled to me. Love does not look like surveillance. Goodbye for now. Typed, clean, formal. I knew she'd read it, knew it would hit harder than any argument ever could. And for the first time in my life, I turned off my phone with no fear. I spent that weekend in the woods, chopping firewood and crying into a campfire like some emotionally damaged lumberjack. Booker curled up next to me, tail wagging every time I tossed him a scrap of turkey jerky. And for 3 days, I breathed air that didn't reek of obligation. I expected silence when I got back. But no. What I got instead was rage, emails, voicemails, a handwritten letter that arrived like a curse wrapped in cursive. She said I humiliated her, said she had to tell the family something, so she told them I was in a mental health facility. I kid you not. She turned my self-protection into an illness. She weaponized my healing into a narrative where she was still the hero, the long-suffering mother trying to save her broken daughter. I read that letter 3 times. Then I pulled out my laptop, because if she was going to build stories about me, I'd start telling some of my own. Update 1. Wow. Okay. First of all, I didn't expect this post to blow up. I honestly thought maybe a couple people would relate. Maybe someone would tell me I was overreacting. But the sheer number of you saying this is abuse and go full no contact honestly made me cry. Like ugly cry, snot and all. I read every comment, every DM, every shared story that made me feel a little less crazy, a little less alone. Some of y'all were funny as hell. One person said, "Your mom sounds like if Find My iPhone became sentient and got a drinking problem." I laughed so hard I scared my dog. But here's the thing. You were right. I wasn't overreacting. I was scared. Not scared of her physically, but scared that maybe she was right, that I was cold, ungrateful, broken. But then I realized I'm not broken. I'm just finally unbroken from her. So I went fully no contact, deleted the email thread, blocked her number on every app I could think of, even made a new Spotify account. Because yes, she followed my playlists. Who does that? Then I did something big, something petty, something poetic. I uninvited her from my life. Publicly. Next post, I'll tell you exactly how that went down, and how the fallout started a chain reaction I never expected. Spoiler, she shows up. Not to talk, not to reconcile, to retaliate. I threw Booker a birthday party. I know, sounds ridiculous, but he's the only thing that's been consistently kind, safe, and not emotionally manipulative in my life for the past year. So yeah, I threw my dog a party, invited some friends, got those little pup cakes from the bougie pet store, set up a balloon arch. It was cute, silly, healing, and then she showed up. I don't even know how she found the location. It was in a fenced-off dog park halfway across town. Not posted anywhere public. I didn't send her an invite. I didn't mention it in any group chat she could still lurk in. But there she was. Patricia, in a trench coat, holding a gift bag with paw prints on it like she hadn't spent the past 2 months impersonating the NSA. She walked up smiling, like she'd been invited, like she belonged. "Oh, honey," she said, setting the bag on the picnic table. "I figured I'd stop by. I know how much you love making a big deal out of things." I froze. So did my friends. One of them, Noelle, instinctively stepped in front of me like a bouncer at an emotional nightclub. "You need to leave," she said, calm, firm. Patricia blinked, tilted her head. "I just wanted to drop off a gift. I thought we could talk." "No," that was me. Voice shaking but clear. "You don't get to show up here. Not after everything." "I'm your mother," she said louder. "This is my daughter's event." It was a dog's birthday party, but okay. She glanced around, suddenly aware that people were watching. The other dog owners. My friends. A couple kids playing tag with a corgi in a tutu. She adjusted her tone like she was performing for a jury. "You've changed," she said, voice trembling just enough to sound pitiful. "I don't even recognize you anymore. Is this what therapy taught you? To hate your family?" Noelle stepped closer. "You need to leave. Now." And Patricia lost it. She didn't scream. Not at first. She laughed. A weird, high-pitched laugh that sounded like glass breaking. "You all think you know her?" she barked, gesturing wildly. "She was a mess 2 years ago, crying on my couch, begging me to help with rent. I gave her everything. And now what? She throws parties for dogs and pretends she's healthy?" People started whispering. Someone pulled out a phone. I walked over to the picnic table, picked up her gift bag, and handed it back. "You don't get to rewrite history," I said quietly. "You don't get to show up because a scene and call it love." She slapped the gift bag out of my hand. It hit the ground with a thud. And that's when Booker barked. Loud, protective, my sweet, goofy mutt, who never so much as growled at a squirrel, put himself between us and growled. Real, primal. Like he knew. Everyone froze. Even Patricia. She stared at the dog like she was seeing a ghost. Then she said it, the thing that made my blood run cold. "I should have never let you get that damn animal. He ruined everything." I turned to Noelle. "Call someone." But Patricia was already walking away, muttering, "You'll regret this. You always do." She drove off. The whole park was silent. I looked down at the gift bag. It had burst open when she slapped it. Inside, a baby onesie, pink, with the words, "Grandma's little girl," printed in glitter. "I'm not pregnant. Never said I was." But I knew what that was. It was a warning. She was escalating, and I needed a plan. The revenge? It starts next. After the dog park incident, I realized something brutal. She wasn't just mad. She was unraveling. That onesie wasn't a mistake. It was her saying, "I still own your future." So I got to work. Step 1. The will. No, not mine. Heron's. See, Patricia used to brag about her estate plans. Who got what? How much? The jewelry, the house, her precious porcelain angel collection. She made her legacy sound like a monarchy, and me the ungrateful heir who might get written out if I didn't behave. So I made it easy. I opted out. I contacted her lawyer, used a template. As of date, I formally renounce any claim to the estate of Patricia Emar's last name. Please update your records. You could practically hear the screech when he told her. Then came step 2, the obituary. No, not her real one. Not yet. I wrote one for me. I posted it on a private blog I knew she still stalked, an old recipe page I hadn't updated in years. Made a new entry titled, "The Death of the Daughter You Wanted." It read, "She was obedient. Until she wasn't." She smiled through tracking apps and shared calendars and emotional surveillance. She played the part, until the part started to rot. She died quietly, in therapy, in silence, in the sound of her dog breathing beside her. What's left is not a daughter. It's a woman. One who doesn't owe you softness just because you named her. I posted it and waited. It took 6 hours. Then the voicemails started. Hysterical, screaming, sobbing. "How dare you say I'm dead to you? What will the family think? You've always had a flair for drama." I didn't answer a single one because she wasn't done, and neither was I. The final nail? A party, not a funeral, not a wedding, a life celebration. Without her, I threw it in my apartment courtyard. Just friends, music, candles, a gratitude for survival theme. Everyone wore black. We burned old photos of people we'd cut out of our lives, wrote letters to our past selves and fed them into a fire pit. Booker wore a bow tie. I printed the onesie Patricia gave me and pinned it to the wall with a sign that said, "This is not my future." My therapist came. So did Noelle. So did people who had left mothers, fathers, exes, cults. It was grief and joy in the same breath. It was holy. And when someone posted a photo on Instagram, just a blurry shot of the onesie under firelight, I knew Patricia would see it. She did, because 3 days later, I got served. She filed a claim against me, for emotional distress. She said I'd defamed her, ruined her name, painted her as abusive in a public smear campaign. She wanted damages, money, control, a courtroom stage. But what she didn't know? I'd been documenting everything. The texts, the emails, the workplace harassment, the unauthorized access to my accounts, the stalking, the escalation, everything. She was about to learn the hard way. If you push a daughter to the edge, don't be surprised when she stops calling you mom and starts calling a lawyer. Second update next. You need to see what the judge said. Okay, so remember how she tried to sue me? Guess who showed up to court with a printout of my blog post in a 3-ring binder labeled Evidence of Abuse? Yes, a binder with tabs. She looked like she was prepping for a PTA meeting about my personality. The judge? Not amused. Especially when I submitted my own binder. Screenshots, emails, voicemail transcripts, witness statements from my boss, my therapist, my friends, even Cam, my ex, who confirmed she reached out to him fishing for intel. At one point, the judge leaned forward and said, "Ma'am, how did you obtain your daughter's work schedule?" She blinked. She put it on a shared calendar. "And did she give you permission to continue accessing it after moving out?" Patricia. Blink, blink. Well, not explicitly. Y'all, the audible sigh from the courtroom clerk, chef's kiss. The case got thrown out in less than 15 minutes. But here's the real kicker. Judge turned to me and said, "Would you like to pursue a restraining order?" And for the first time in my entire life, I said no. Not because I was afraid, but because she'd already lost what mattered most, access. I'm not her mirror anymore, not her spy satellite, not her second chance, just a ghost of the control she thought would never die. And that is better than any legal win. A week after the court hearing, I got a package. No return address, but I knew. Of course I knew. It was wrapped in pink tissue paper and smelled like her perfume, the same suffocating floral she's worn since the Clinton administration. Inside, a baby blanket, hand-stitched, with my name on one corner and hope on the other. Folded neatly beneath it was a letter. "I made this the day you were born. I thought I'd give it to your daughter someday. But since you've chosen to throw away your life, your bloodline, and your values, I figured I'd give it to you now, before you disappear completely." She signed it with love, Mom, in ink so heavy it bled through the paper. That letter didn't make me cry, it made me tremble, because it was the most manipulative thing she'd ever done. Not screaming, not stalking, not even suing. It was legacy warfare. She wasn't just mourning the daughter she lost, she was mourning the grandmother she thought she was promised. I sat there for a long time, blanket in my lap, Booker curled at my feet, until something snapped into place. I went to my bookshelf, pulled out a folder. Inside were all my therapy invoices from the last year, $120 a session, every 2 weeks, for 12 months. I made copies, highlighted the payment totals, wrote a single note, "You wanted a family heirloom, so here's your legacy." I folded the receipts, wrapped them in the blanket, boxed them up, and mailed them right back to her. No note, no signature, just the bill. The next day I texted my therapist. "I think I'm free." She replied, "How does it feel?" I stared at the screen, then at the package tracking notification. Delivered. Then at Booker, who looked up like he knew. I replied, like I buried something, and it finally stayed dead. But that wasn't quite true, because something else had been born, and it was about to change everything. Turns out Patricia didn't just stew in silence after that baby blanket got sent back. She told the family I had a mental break, said I'd joined a cult of therapists, stopped taking my medication, I was never on any, and had lost all maternal instinct. Apparently, I was a danger to myself, a tragic, broken woman who had rejected her mother's love and was now lost to radical isolation. The kicker? She said I'd blocked everyone because I was suicidal. Let me repeat that. She weaponized suicide to save face. I found out through my cousin Jamie, who I hadn't talked to in years. Jamie called me sobbing, thinking I was dead. When I told her the truth, she was horrified. Said the family was planning a prayer circle for me on Easter. So I made a decision. If Patricia wanted a funeral for the daughter she buried with lies, I'd give her a resurrection. I posted a video on Facebook, one I'd filmed weeks ago but never thought I'd use. Just me, sitting on my couch with Booker, smiling, alive, calm. "Hey everyone, I heard some of you thought I was gone. I'm not. I'm thriving. I've just learned that love isn't surveillance, that boundaries aren't betrayal, that healing sometimes looks like silence. And if you're hearing this and feeling confused, ask her, not me." I let it sit. Within an hour, it was everywhere. Aunt Linda texted me an apology. My grandma, Patricia's own mother, left me a voicemail saying she was proud of me. Then the real twist, I got a message from my dad. We hadn't spoken in years. He left when I was 9, remember? His message was short. "I always wondered if it was her or me. I'm sorry I didn't try harder. I see now. I'm glad you got out." I sobbed so hard I scared the dog, but it was a clean sob. A free one. And Patricia, she deleted Facebook. That was 3 months ago. Since then, no contact, no casseroles, no calendar invites. Just peace. I still sleep with one eye open, metaphorically speaking, but mostly, I just sleep. Deep, dreamless, whole. Some of you asked if I'd ever let her back in. Number. Because she never wanted a daughter. She wanted a mirror. And I finally stopped reflecting. Thank you for reading. Thank you for seeing me. And if you're in the middle of something like this, you're not crazy. You're just waking up. And waking up is a kind of rebirth. Stay awake.